go. Let's go.
Welcome, Leadership Nation. We are on a mission to bring together people, men and women that believe in taking action in their own life in the areas of finance, family, and fitness. This is the Leadership to Wealth podcast, and I'm your host, Neil D'Souza. Well, today we have a great couple with us, and I want to introduce them just a little bit. They're in the world of real estate investing. If you want to find out their path, you want to find out how they've built what they've built with a family through it all. They've started a company, Convestus, where we're going to be talking about investing. They're also going to talk to us about the 16-week investor. Man, can't wait to get into that. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you today Zeb and Colleen Tsikira. Hi, guys. Great to have you on the show.
Hey.
Thanks for having us.
So that was a mouthful. There's a whole lot there in each and every piece. And you guys have gotten your hands into so many things on top of, just the regular stuff of being married, having kids. Two kids and a dog. Because just before we started recording, the dog decided to interrupt. So you got to love that. But hey, so we're going to get into this, and I want to dig in. I want to learn about what you guys do, what you teach, get into your background. But before we do that, I want to get into some rapid fire questions just to ease us into it. You guys good with that?
Yeah, right from the start. Let's do it.
Now you guys are officially the first couple that I've ever had on the show. So I don't know if we have to do that whole put a finger down game or any of that kind of stuff, but we'll see how you guys answer it. Maybe you guys will each have an individual answer, but here we go. All right. So some rapid fire questions. Okay. Question number 1. I make friends easily.
Yeah, I think so. You don't think you make friends easy?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this was supposed to be a rapid fire question. We didn't realize we were going to start a debate. Now, we do focus on the areas of finance, family, which is around relationships and fitness. Yeah. And so I'm not really sure if we're going to go down the area of relationships as well, but this is definitely going to be an exciting podcast. All right, let's go. So Colleen, you said yes, you think, and Zeb gave me the thumbs up sort of direction. Yes. All right. Here we go.
Yeah. Colleen.
If you're listening into this, he pointed with Colleen. All right. Yeah. I have a vivid imagination.
Yeah.
I worry about things.
That would be Zeb.
That would be me.
Okay. And Colleen, you don't worry about things?
No, life's too short.
Okay. I love large parties.
I don't think any of us. Yeah.
No. Okay. Which would you rather choose? Fancy shoes or fancy socks? Or I will throw in a fancy dress as well.
I think I'd pick a fancy dress.
Okay.
Shoe.
And what did you pick?
Shoe.
Shoes. Okay, great. I thought you said me too. And then I wasn't sure where we were going to go with this. So I'm going to feel for the audio listeners on this one. This is going to be great. All right. Would you rather solve complex problems or sweep the deck at your cottage?
Sweep the deck at the cottage.
Solve complicated problems because when you solve a problem, you make more money. So
love it. So just so you know, you guys had recommended Steve Arneson to me, and I interviewed him, and so you guys can be checking out that show. But also, he actually said both answers. He said he would like to be solving complex problems while sweeping the deck. So this is a really interesting dynamic. We got the husband and wife. One answers the one and one answers the other. That's great. Okay, favorite hobby or sport?
I would say soccer.
I can't say I have nailed one, but I do enjoy playing soccer.
Okay, great. Favorite book?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Love it.
I'd say the same.
Okay, with some reservation. All right.
Yeah.
And a place in the world that you'd like to visit.
Greece.
Zanzibar.
Wow. I think we need to turn this into a relationship talk show. This is going to be great. Okay. and and now here's an interesting one, because again, we're doing this as a couple. So let me ask this question. Do you have, or what would you say is your superpower?
What is your superpower?
I would say I'm a people connector. My superpower is probably connecting people from where they are to where they need to go, even if the direction doesn't point to me.
Okay.
And for me, I would say I'm a, what did I say? I'm a good listener, I would say.
Deep,
Yeah,
thoughtful.
yeah. I'll say
Okay.
that
Good listener.
I'm more the person that kind of listens to everybody and
Mm,
gets it in and think before something comes out, sort of thing,
yeah.
and then make
Yeah.
sure I come out like
Wow.
what do you call it? Diplomatic?
Diplomatic.
Diplomatic. Okay. Diplomatic. Okay. Well, that's the rapid fire questions.
That was not so rapid.
Yeah.
That's true. um, okay, so here's the question now. Let's get into this leadership portion, and where I want to dig into you guys. And I guess the first question for the listeners, and to give us some background, on who you guys are, where you've come from, where'd you grow up, and just give us a little bit of background on you guys, and maybe even how you met, and let's go down that journey.
All right. So I come from a totally different background from Colleen. So I come from a family that, for me, a family of 8, and for me, I regarded ourselves poor. So I always grew up, thinking that one day I was gonna come out of that and be my own man, be my own person with success. So, anyways, I moved to Canada in 2001 with my family, and of course, we're from Zimbabwe, both of us. So moved to Canada, and it was a new challenge, and then it represented new life to me. Like, it represented a lot of, like, I could see a lot of opportunities when I moved. So it was basically like, how can I grasp or get those opportunities and use them? Anyways, fast forward in 2010. In 2010, I had worked at McDonald's for 8 years. And at McDonald's, I basically learned a lot. When I started a job there, I was pretty much like timid. Like, I wouldn't talk much. And people would actually, I would say, quote unquote, I would get bullied in terms of I would do the worst job. Any worst job they would think about or think of, they would be like, Zeb, go do it. And I wouldn't voice back because I was just like, I didn't feel like I should. So I would do those things, I would, clean the bathrooms. I would wash the dishes. I would do what people didn't want to do. But as time went on, I basically kind of, a manager there told me, like, look, you're a hard worker and I think you can be a leader. And I was like, how can I be a leader? Like, I barely talk to people. And they were like, I think you can. And if you want to succeed in life, you have to speak up. So from then, I started speaking up, and I started taking charge of my shift, for example. And everything that snowballed. Like, I got promoted to a crew trainer, from there to a manager, to a dating assistant manager, to the head manager. So that's where I'll attribute most of my leadership skills. I learned it from there. Then 10 years later, I was going to university, and after doing a year in university, I realized that, first of all, what I was doing, I didn't like to do. And second, I wasn't doing well. My grades were not that good. And then third, I was just getting student debt, more student debt. And I looked at how long the program was going to be. It was going to be another 4 to 6 years. And by then, I would have owed a lot of money and doing something that I didn't like. So from then, I basically sort of researched online what had made a lot of people to be financially free. And I found that people had done that through real estate.
Right.
So I researched more on how I can get into real estate, right? And I, associated with money, you got to have money and you got to buy properties and put in tenants and all that stuff. So I basically sort of like mapped out everything in my head, how I was going to accomplish that.
Right.
But the first thing I needed to do was to drop out of school and move to, a small city in the north of Canada where people would get paid a bit of more money than where I was. Then I had to sell the dream to my girlfriend. So I had to sell the dream to her, like, look, I'm going to drop out of school. We're going to be financially free, but this is how we're going to do it. But I had no idea that Colleen also had, a seed planted in her of investing in real estate when she met Robert Kiyosaki, where she's going to talk about that. But so after moving to the north, moved with a bag, I didn't even have rent money.
Right.
I had to negotiate with the landlord that, look, when I get my first job, I would pay you your rent.
Right.
So that was the beginning of the journey. And then I got married to Colleen, and Colleen came. But Colleen's gonna speak on her.
Okay, wait, Colleen, before you jump in, I've just got to address that. So you've got a black man from Africa, Zimbabwe, comes to Canada, works in McDonald's, which, by the way, is known world renowned for having one of the best training systems in the world. And then you take your also African girlfriend to northern Canada.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And to start your real estate investing dream.
Yes.
I got that out. And you dropped out of school in between that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, this is going to get really interesting because it sounds like a train wreck right now. So that's awesome.
Oh yeah.
That's definitely how our family understood it. We got questions like, are they black people in the north?
Yes.
And it was quite the transition. I mean, growing up, like Zeb grew up in Zimbabwe, came to Canada when I was 11. So I went through the whole system as a Canadian.
Right.
Went to elementary school, went to high school, went to college. Yeah. So I always told myself that there's nothing that a Canadian can do that I can't, because I've been through that system. Unfortunately for us as immigrants, is we find ourselves in a position where we are a parent's retirement plan, right? So they literally sold everything, packed up their bags, brought us here to start a new life at times in their 40s, almost 50s, right? So they don't have the CPPs. They don't have enough money on everything else raised. Right. So they're looking at their kids and they're saying, you guys are going to be our retirement plan. So we then had to be in a position where we're working that much harder, because recognizing that we have to retire our parents. We're Canadian, so our kids are not going to understand that they've got to retire us. So we've got to raise our families and also plan for our retirement. That put us in a position where we had to work a lot harder. And this meant having to do all these creative things like moving to the north when nobody else wanted to. So that's kind of how we then decided we're going to move to the north. And we were going to take 3 jobs each and save our way out of our situation. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. That now, did you guys know it was cold up there? Were you prepared for that?
Yeah, I mean,
you know what? I like to say from Africa to Montreal, Canada was a big transition.
Right.
So we can do that. Why can't we just add a little more?
Add a little bit more cold.
Yeah, right? When you're seeing opportunity, think about it. When it's cold, you jump into your warm car, you jump into your warm house. Yeah. It's only that short space of time where you're feeling it. And
Yeah.
as long as you're not walking to work, you'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny. I actually, you just talk about that quick jump going from a very hot country to one that can get quite cold. My dad didn't know, and when he came, and we came years ago, um, when he came, he got off of the plane in February in Toronto in a pair of shorts
Wow.
and a t-shirt because they'd come through the Middle East at the time, and so he had just come out of the desert effectively, and then stepped into Canada in February, and then nearly died from how cold it was. So he got really sick and stuff like that. But funny story. He didn't realize he should have brought a winter coat with him. So
Yeah.
And a lot of immigrants don't. And this is where
Yeah.
we're grateful for the internet age,
Right.
where you can do that
Absolutely.
research.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, so this is a very compelling story, quite honestly, the journey that you've taken. And I want to point out something, and I want to ask a little bit more about this because I think it's a vital leadership piece. You guys went north and took 3 jobs apiece, understanding the responsibility that was on your shoulders when it came to yourselves, your kids, and your parents. And you took that on. And this we're talking about before even getting into this real estate journey that we're going to talk about. And you had to really buckle down. How did you get that presence of mind to even be able to have that on your shoulders? I know that there's people that have got some of these things that they're dealing with, right? Whether it be parents, whether it be um, not having enough to retire. These are just the weights that people have to deal with, and they don't understand. How did you guys bear that weight?
I will answer that in 2 words: your
Okay.
why.
Okay.
Everybody talks about knowing your why. And
Yes.
when you figure out what your why is, the how will sort of come along.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that we had to go through that, achieve that, that gave us the biggest push to make it happen. Because
Mm-hmm.
you're not looking at it like I'm almost working 24 hours. Because
Mm-hmm.
we have done 24-hour job shifts,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're looking at it that this is something that we've got to go through. And I find that's the immigrant mentality. When you're working and you're sending money home,
Mm-hmm.
most immigrants we work with, they've got 2 jobs. One
Mm-hmm.
job is to support them in Canada. The other job is to send money and support family back home.
Right.
You don't have that opportunity to get tired,
Right.
right? You
Right.
don't have the luxury to feel like I don't feel like going to work today. So
Right.
that why is the biggest driver into achieving that success.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, it was success was the only option.
Right.
I had no other options because if I didn't succeed, then guess what? Like I dropped out of school. I got nothing, right?
Well, you still have McDonald's.
That's the thing, right? I got to go to McDonald's, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was the point. Success was the only option. So
Right.
that was the why.
Absolutely. I think that's a key piece in understanding a leader. They understand the why. And so wherever you're from, there's no doubt that for immigrants coming from countries that perhaps they didn't have the same opportunity, it's an amazing opportunity. And coming from a place where you have had to really fight to survive in that economy, you bring that to a wonderful country like Canada. You bring that to North America, whether you come to Canada, the States, and then you bring that into everything you do. So there's no doubt that the presence of that is there. But whether you come from another country or whether you've just gone through things here in Canada, here in the world, at the end of the day, you're really built by a lot of these things, and either you know your why or you don't. That's really powerful. I think there's something there with a lot of people. There's a huge the self-improvement and the motivation market is a huge market because people are always trying to motivate themselves, and I think it's because for many people they lack an underlying why. that underlying reason that drives them, as opposed to, just needing that motivation to always try to push them forward. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, at times, the biggest thing is that your why can shift, right? If you get to your first why, and then you realize, an example was, biggest why for me was when our son was born.
Yeah.
I was working for the government. I was getting paid well. I had pension. And then I realized when he was born that I wanted the option to stay home with him.
Right.
So that why pushed us from being in a position where we needed employment to replacing a government job income, replacing over 6 figures so that I could stay home with my son and move to a bigger city where I thought, if I'm going to be at home, I might as well have more activities for him.
Right.
So that was the why. However, because that why was achieved, I sort of got to a point where I was like, okay, well, I'm now at home. What's next?
Yeah.
So you sort of lose that motivation, and I can totally relate to people who don't have that driving force because you haven't found the push, the why that's going to get you going.
Mm-hmm.
So I then had to re-identify another reason to keep going and another reason to continue pushing so that we could continue achieving financial freedom, continue supporting our families.
Right. And so what drives you now when it comes to that? Because you guys have gone from obviously being up north and 3 jobs apiece to building these investment companies, which we're going to talk about. But so where are you at now? Now, I mean, you've got the nice house. We're sitting here doing interviews, and you guys travel, all of these kind of things. So what motivates you now?
So just to finish off on the story so that people can understand the context.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Wow. We got so deep into some of this stuff. Tell me, what did we miss?
Of where we are, right? So anyways, we got into those three jobs a piece, and we just worked hard. And when we had saved enough money to buy our first property, we're so happy. We went to the bank. We're like, hey, we got the money. Let's do this, right? And unfortunately, we were denied of getting a mortgage. And at that time, we had no idea why we were denied, right? And we had to ask, why? What's going on? We have the money. And they're like, no, your credit is not good.
Okay, yes.
And we're like, okay, maybe mine, mine might be whatever. How about Colleen's? We can go ahead with that. And they're like, both of you guys, your credit is not good. So you guys have to work on your credit before you can come back to us with another application. So you can imagine, right? We were so devastated, like unbelievable, right? We had this money, but we can't get a mortgage because of credit. And that's when we sort of started thinking back when we came to Canada that there was no mentor, there was no one who came like who would talk to us and about credit. Like, you guys are newcomers in Canada. These are things that you guys have to watch when you're in Canada, right? So of course, we're devastated, but we had to think of something to do. We had to think of how we're going to fix that. So with that money that we had, we basically decided, you know what, let's start a business.
Right.
So that was our first business venture together. And we started this business based on, I had worked at a driving school, or I was working at a driving school, and I had people asking me to do some private lessons.
Yeah.
And I would come home and tell Colleen, look, Colleen, I got people asking me to do private lessons, but I don't think it's right. I shouldn't be doing this and stuff like that. But my in-laws would always say, why don't you just start your own? Right? So that money that we had saved sort of like pushed us to start our own driving school and became the second driving school in this northern city.
Okay.
So we did realize at that point that now we were basically, because we're employed and now we're getting into the self-employed quadrant.
Right.
And that
now we're getting into the rich dad, poor dad. Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
So that was going to help us in saving more money to buy properties, right? And fix our credit at the same time.
Right.
So a year later, we managed to buy our first property. And I mean, this is a long story.
So for those of you that don't know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad talks about 4 quadrants, and he talks about an employee, being self-employed, being a business owner, and being an investor, and understanding the difference between each of them and how you make and earn money. And so through those. And so that's what we're talking about here. Now, okay, so this next story sounds like it's an important one.
Yeah.
You've got these this thriving driving school business.
Yeah.
And now what happens?
So as we're operating in driving school, a lot of businesses started snowballing.
Yes.
Within us, we started thinking of doing separate things. We flipped cars, we'd buy cars at a lower price and sell them at a higher price. We'd do cleaning. We had cleaning contracts where both of us started as cleaners. So a lot of things snowballed. And then we even we're renting, we're 5 of us renting in a 2-bedroom, living in a 2-bedroom, which was helping us to save rent. And I'm pretty sure a lot of immigrants would understand this, right?
We're a house hacking.
We're house hacking. So anyways, fast forward, we purchased our first property. We're so happy. We're not house hacking anymore. It was just the 2 of us, and our house became a place where we'd have friends and family come and we'd play games and have game nights, basically.
Yeah.
Right? Until one day, Colleen went and bought a game called the cash flow game.
Yes.
Right? So when we played the cash flow game, the whole idea of getting into real estate came back, because for you to win the game, you had to invest, right?
Yes.
To invest, make enough passive income that you replace your working income, right? But through real estate. And from then we understood that our property that we had bought was not making any money for us. It was a liability.
Right.
We needed to get a property that would pay us, right? So from there, the next day we listed our property for sale, and 3 months later, we bought our first investment property. That was in 2012.
Wow. Okay.
Which we changed into, it was as an up-down bungalow 4-bedroom house. Right. And then we suited it to get a legal suite at the bottom.
That was in 2014.
2014, yeah. 2014. Yeah. So basically we put tenants in downstairs and we're living upstairs for free.
Right.
So anyways, the rest is history. From there, we,
wow.
2015, we basically, got mentorship. We decided we wanted to get mentorship because we wanted to scale our business.
Yeah.
But why again, right? So to replace our income and do all that stuff, Colleen and all that stuff, right? So we got mentorship.
Yeah.
And we had to pay $20,000, which is money that we didn't have to get that mentorship.
Right.
Through a credit card. But that mentorship propelled us to multi-millions in property in our portfolio that's running through Canada and the United States. And at the same time, within the whole 6 years we've been investing, we even invested in the UK for a bit. Right. And here we are. Back to your question you asked, what's your why now?
Yeah.
Right? Our why now is to educate people, is to educate immigrants. Remember when I spoke about how our credit was something that nobody ever educated us on when we did here. So our goal now is to educate other immigrants on what to watch for and how to invest.
Right.
Right. So that's our biggest.
And not just immigrants, right? We're not saying this is a closed circle, right?
Yeah.
Right.
We just understand where they're coming from, but we're also helping empower other people.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone who's going through the same struggle we did.
Right. You're going to help anyone. It's obvious that it resonates for people in these certain demographics, but anyone, you're going to help. I got it. Wow, that is definitely quite the journey. Wow, that's really powerful. There's a lot there. I guess one of the things that I'm thinking, and I would like to ask, is about the mentorship, because what pulled you and propelled you into getting the mentorship? $20,000 is not a jump that you make lightly. How did you make that jump?
It was when we had decided that we wanted to make real estate into a business.
Yeah.
We saw ourselves, I think at the time we had 2 properties, and it was just a hobby, right? And from the trajectory of where we wanted to be in life, it was not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to get mentorship from someone who had been successful in scaling their real estate business.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, you got to pay for that.
Right.
That's like school, right? When you're going to school, you got to pay for your tuition, for a degree, to be a doctor, to be a nurse, or whatever it is. So we took that mentorship as our university
Mm-hmm.
to learn about the industry, to learn on how we could scale our business and at the same time become financially free through real estate investing.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, as you said, it's not likely to spend 20,000. We didn't have the money. We had to actually swipe our credit card at
Right.
19.99% with the hopes of making that money back within the same year.
But then that led to millions.
Yes.
Wow. So let's ask this question for all the people that are now terrified of spending $20,000. You understand the end goal is out there. How long did it take you to go from starting the mentorship program to being able to start realizing on that?
So the first year we did make that money back.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
And then the second year, Colleen quit her job.
Wow.
So we had replaced her income.
Right.
And the trajectory was just going up.
Right. I think that's powerful for people to understand, because I've now spoken to a few people that the thing that propelled them was getting mentorship, was, jumping into this conversation with someone that could help them down the road, right? That could help them get to the next stage of their life, their investing future. That is amazing. There's a whole lot of different threads that we could go down to just keep talking, because I think there's so much leadership rich in all this stuff that you've shared. But I think we need to get into the wealth building portion. I think we got to go jump over there now. We may have to do part 2 of you guys and do another interview. But for now, I think let's jump over to the wealth building portion. Let's get into talking about those companies. Let's get into how you guys made money in real estate. Is that good with you guys?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go jump over there. If you're listening, come join us in part 2. All right, here we are, part 2 of the Leadership to Wealth podcast. If you're listening and you are on this journey to really take action in your life in the areas of finance, family, and fitness, well, you're in the right place. And we've got a great couple that we're talking to today, the Sakiras, Zeb and Colleen, and we are going to talk about how they make money in real estate right now. Now, we got to take it a piece at a time here, guys. I know we talked about in the first part of the podcast about your background. There's a lot there, but now we want to get into, you've got 3 separate divisions for yourselves, right? 3 separate parts. And the first one I want to get into is Convestus, which is sort of your investing arm of the business. Can you tell us about Convestus?
So the idea behind Convestus is really leverage, right? Okay. As an individual, when you're buying a single family home, you leverage from the bank, right? You put your 20% down as a investor. Yeah. The bank puts 80. You put 5% down as a homeowner. The bank puts 95. Right. So when we started looking at scaling up and going into multifamilies, not everybody has the opportunity to raise 25% down. Mm-hmm. So the idea behind Convestus is working with a group of people who are on the same mission, and we then leverage each other's $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, and we're able to use that to then purchase a multifamily building, which we may not normally be able to go into. Yeah, so the idea behind this is really to leverage each other's ability to get into bigger properties or buildings that we normally otherwise wouldn't be able to.
Okay. So let me understand this. So Convestus is the part people that want to invest in real estate is the forming of this company. And so what do people have to do if they want to invest with you guys? Just a quick.
So for Convestus, that basically stands for you can invest with us.
Okay.
And what people have to do is reach out to us. We'll have you complete a questionnaire, an investor questionnaire, to make sure that we're first vetting you in a way.
Right.
Make
Right.
sure that you check all the boxes. We share the same values. We're on the
Yeah.
same mission. We understand what you're looking for in a deal.
Right.
And then we could better match you with a deal that works and makes sense for what your purpose is and where you want to go.
So you guys are still taking investors. You still allow new investors? Yes, no?
We're still building conversations and having those questionnaires filled out. And from there, based on the values, and if our values are aligned and we're all going in the same direction, yes, we would.
Okay, that's great. Okay, we might come back to that. I want to get into the 16-week investor. So this is your other company. Can you tell us about that? I love the name for starters, the 16-week investors. What are you doing in 16 weeks?
Yeah, so the whole idea with 16-week investor is to educate people. So that's our educational arm of the company, where we educate people how to invest in real estate, how to buy their first property, how to bring their business idea to life. Because a lot of people have these business ideas, but they just think that it's impossible to get them out there. Mm-hmm. And because we have a business background, it helps us a lot in giving mentorship on how to start a business, how to scale a business, how to automate a business, right? And talking about credit as well, how to manage credit as a newcomer in Canada. Yeah. How do you do it? Yeah. What should you expect if you're going to buy your first home as a homeowner? What should you expect to buy when you want to buy an investment property? And we discovered, in 16 weeks, actually, it takes 16 weeks for change to stick. Right.
And so because we're very goal oriented, we figured that if you want to do this, there's no reason you can't do it in 16 weeks. Why are we waiting a year to do something that could be done? If you're serious about it, you understand your why, let's get it done in 16 weeks.
Wow. That's awesome. Okay. So the 16-week investor, this is your training, your education arm, and this is for, I'm guessing, for someone new right off of the street. They just know, hey, I want to get in this game. And so they come in, and what are you guys going to kind of do with them? What are you going to take them through? Give us a peek behind the window.
Yes.
Behind the curtain, sorry.
Not necessarily someone new. It could be for anyone who feels stuck.
Yes.
Right. It could be for somebody who feels a lot of people on their own can buy up to 2-3 properties. Mm-hmm. So if you feel stuck and you feel you need that extension and that brainstorming session with anybody, that's what the group is for. It helps you scale. We help get you connected into avenues where you're able to, if you're looking for money partners, working partners, right? We've been able to do that with our students and help them scale and be able to grow their business when they felt stuck.
Right. Wow. Man, you guys are so multidimensional. It's amazing.
Okay. It helps when there's two of you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The power of the team between the two of you, I can really see and is really present. It's amazing. Even the nuances between what Zeb, what you like, what you're about, and then Colleen jumps in. It's really interesting to see. I realize that a lot of people that are listening may not have that dynamic where the husband or the wife is perhaps supportive in the journey. They may be single, and doing the journey, whatever your status relationship wise, but to see how you guys are working together is really exciting, and to see how you guys jump into that. So that's really cool. I do appreciate that. I think there's something worth examining there, because I'm sure there's lots of couples that even would like to learn how to be able to work with each other more, to be able to build their dreams together, which is clearly what you guys are doing, and even what you teach inadvertently, right? So, and then you guys have the you guys just refer to it as the Sakiras, and that's your social media presence. What can you tell us a little bit about that? Your social media presence and what you do there?
Yeah, so the Sakiras is our family brand,
Right.
basically.
Okay, the family
Yeah,
brand. All right.
it's the family brand where we showcase, our family. I mean, with our kids, when we travel, when we look at properties, when we acquire properties, when we renovate properties,
Yeah.
when we do interviews with couples and people,
Yeah.
just basically showcases our life. So for
Yeah.
people who don't know who we are, with our other companies, basically that's where they can go and sort of like get into knowing who we are.
Right. Right. So now let me ask this. Is there a intentionality behind it? Because you guys clearly are business people, so I've got to ask the question.
When
I
it
know.
started,
Listen, I'm going to ask these questions. Listen, come on, tell us.
when we started, it was just us being a family, having fun. And for the longest time, I found that it also, in a way, has us do more with our kids.
Right.
Right. And for me, anything that could have us involve our kids, if it means grabbing a camera and recording and building those memories for them to look back at, because they love watching themselves from when they're kids.
Yes.
That's how it started. Right.
Okay.
Then putting it on YouTube, sharing with family and friends. That's what the second goal was.
Mm-hmm.
Then we started getting comments from people saying, oh, you know what? I actually learned a lot from your videos.
Yeah.
Then that's when we realized that we're like our best kept secrets, right? We think we're filming this for our kids, for our family, for our friends, but there's a whole group of other people who want to see what that life looks like.
Right.
So that's kind of where we realized, again, maybe the business hat tapped on, like, oh, we could actually make this into something.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I mean, we try to still stay authentic and true to the initial goal of the page, which is family, travel, kids, relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still sticking with that. And people are coming along for the journey and watching us as we do renovations, as we get our hands dirty.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's been quite the trip.
Especially the fact that, we're doing most of the stuff with our kids, because a lot of like people that have reached out have asked that type of question, like, how do you guys do it with the kids? Like, because, we have this belief that as people that when you have a kid or when you have kids, like immigrants, I would say your life is done, to be honest. Like you can't break the barrier of where you want to be in life, right? So we have come in and we're showcasing that even with having kids, you can still go for your dreams. You can still aspire to be whoever you want to be, as long as your mindset is right.
As you're intentionally doing this, because clear, you've realized, hey, okay, you want to just have your kids there and you want to do this stuff, but now you've grown it to, there's an intentionality behind it. Do you see an ROI, a return on your investment, out of the time that you put in on the social media?
We are not making money from YouTube exactly.
Right.
But we have seen people come to us and either invest with us, talk about joint ventures, talk about deals, and we have seen ROI based on that.
Yeah, that's powerful. I started the podcast really out of, trying to help motivate people to be able to start something in all of the coronavirus and all of these difficulties. And one of the things that I try to promote to people is that social media is a powerful tool. Even if you don't see a direct ROI, YouTube or, Spotify or iTunes, even if they're not paying you directly, by getting out there, by branding yourself, right? You guys have got your shirts, the 16-week investor, by putting yourself out there, it literally helps people to get to know you. And therefore they're more likely to want to learn from you guys, take the training programs. They're more likely to want to invest with you guys. They want to hear this crazy journey that you guys have gone through. So I can clearly, for me, sitting here listening to this story, I'm thinking, wow, that's brilliant. I love what you're doing. And I even want to figure out a way to include my kids more in my own stuff. So thank you for that. That's a little piece that I'm going to steal and
Yeah.
add to my piece of the pie.
They will benefit. So that's great.
That's right. Okay, well, I got to ask the question: if people want to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you? We should ask that. Get that out there. If they want to get more in contact, they want to know more about you. Where are they going? Because now you guys have got these 3 different arms of yourselves. So tell us, what do people do?
I mean, you can reach us at convestus.com. So Canvestus, you can invest with us.com, or the Sakiras.com. So Convestus is more the business arm, business side of things. And then to just follow us, see what we're up to, because there's always a person behind the brand. Yeah. And I find people don't fall in love with the brand, they fall in love with the people behind it.
Right.
So we like sharing both.
Let's say that one more time.
Yeah, let's start again. Yeah. Okay, so it's www.thetesikiras.com.
Awesome, and we'll have that in the notes as well. So that's perfect. Now the 16-week investor.
Oh, that one can be found by any of the 2.
Okay, great. Okay, so we've got that. They want to reach out to you. Now, we've talked a little bit about what you guys have done, or before getting into real estate, then getting into real estate, and you've got Convestus, and you started building a portfolio. You started teaching people how to invest in real estate, joint venture partnerships, and you started building until the point that you've realized your dream. Now you decided to get into the 16-week investor, where now you've actually got a teaching training arm to your business, and you're going there. Now, where do you go from here? What's next? I mean, you still taking on some new investors, so people, if they want to learn, they can still jump in there. They want to take the training, they want to invest with you guys, but now where are you guys going from here?
I would say right now we're looking more into creating partnerships in getting into the multifamily space. In Canada, in the United States, and I see us from there going outside of the country, outside of the continent, right? Because right now we're talking about the United States and Canada. Now we're going to be talking about maybe Germany or South Africa. Go to Africa, do some real estate there, and that's where I see ourselves going. And being able to be flexible whenever we travel, we can basically kind of go and stay at our place in South Africa. We can stay at our place like in Berlin, being flexible to do things like that.
Yeah. Wow. I really love how you guys are creating and carving the life that you want. And you've been willing to do whatever it takes to get through that. So you're looking at now going, leaving the continent and maybe doing more investing in other places in the world. Now that's really intriguing, and there's probably 1,000 questions I could ask. The first
that would
being
be the long-term plan.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So the next thing that you're moving on to, you guys talked about creating more partnerships to really get into more multi-unit properties,
buildings,
right? Buildings and that. Okay, that's exciting. And how is that part of the journey coming along? What's cutting edge on there that we can learn and add to our learning from there?
It's been a learning experience.
Yeah.
You then we've learned that some relationships just don't work and you have to walk away. Right. And that I find is the hardest for some people to do.
Right.
You've got to consider that this is a long-term relationship. Most multifamily deals are anywhere from 5, 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
So if the relationship doesn't work, you've got to be willing to walk away, and we help empower both sides to know that.
Right.
And just like when new couples are getting married, we say, lay it all out, draft a prenup.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the same thing for business. Right. Make sure that we understand each other, understand our roles, make sure we're all on the same page. so that we're building a great foundation for what the next 5 to 10 years would look like.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow, that's very interesting to think about, because I'm sure that a lot of people, they like the idea. You hear the idea of joint venture partnerships, not understanding that there are things that you need to be aware of. And then there's people who are deathly afraid of it, but yet you guys are living proof that you can definitely move into a joint venture partnership and really benefit all parties there. Okay, great. So
I do have, one lesson to add to that.
yes, tell us.
Yes. I would just say one thing that we took about 6 years prior to deciding that we want to venture into joint ventureship. And that's because we failed to understand the concept that 50% of a watermelon is better than 100% of a grape.
Absolutely.
So when we realized that, that opened a whole entire door and a wave of opportunities that were outside our reach that we could tap into.
Right, right. And so for people listening, I think it's good for them to realize that, hey, you can go ahead and invest in real estate on your own.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really want to make massive moves and be able to change your position from 1 year spending $20,000 on a mentorship program to the next year, your wife retiring, you need to understand the power of partnerships. Is what it sounds like to me.
100%, yeah.
Wow, absolutely. Okay, so that sounds great. So we've now covered off a little bit about each of these companies and a little bit about what you teach, and with regards to investing in multi-unit into partnerships. What else do we need to know before we tie this off? What is out there that you guys are like, oh, we better say this. We want people to hear this.
I think we've laid it all out.
Okay.
I would say that, with whatever, whatever you want to do as a person, you have to have a why, which we spoke about, the reason why you want to do this. And being successful is not easy. If it was easy, then everybody would be successful.
Yeah.
So, you got to just put your head down and do what you have to do. And one of the most important things is getting mentorship.
Right.
In whatever you want to do.
Right.
Get someone who's 5, 6, 10 steps ahead from where you are.
Right.
And get them to just, lay down for you, give you that information, right? Of course, you got to pay for it, but it's worth it.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, what would it have cost if you hadn't spent the money?
There you go.
Right. Colleen wouldn't have been retiring the next year, and wow.
No, I would not.
I think that's a great way to end us off today, to understand the power of mentorship and its place in leadership and in wealth building. And I want to leave everyone with that. So again, let's do it again. How do people get a contact with you if they want to?
www.convestus.com or thesakiras.com.
Nice. And that's great. So people can go ahead and do that. Now, okay, we didn't answer this one question, and this is where we're going to end it. You guys came from Zimbabwe, came to Canada, went north, and where are you guys now? Where are you guys located now?
So we are in Edmonton right
now.
Yeah, we decided to base ourselves in Edmonton. We wanted to stay in the US, but because of COVID, we came back home and purchased a home here in Edmonton. So
love it. Okay, that's great. Well, thank you guys so much for being on the show. Thank you for sharing all of that wisdom with us, and we look forward to hearing more of your journey, learning more about the 16-week investor and how the plans are going for creating partnerships. But we just thank you for spending the time with us today. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for being a gracious host.
Thank you.